Hello everyone, I'm Joe Medrano. November may not be much of an exciting month. All the fall colors have been disappearing. It's not too warm, but it's not too cold. Cross your fingers for no snow either. We just feel nothing around this time between the two seasons. But if you want to feel something, turn on your TV and watch Senior Moments. Senior Moments covers events and activities at senior centers in the Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti area, such as the Ann Arbor Senior Center, Turner Center, the Pittsfield Senior Center, and the Ann Arbor Community Center. Also, the show provides valuable information for senior citizens on such issues as health, wealth, finance, and entertainment. The program premieres on the last Sunday of the month, with the reruns on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. and 5 p.m., Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 5 p.m., all on CTN Channel 19 for a month. Well, November may not be very exciting for you, but remember, it won't be too long before you've got to shovel snow. So keep up your spirits and stay healthy. Hello, I'm Joe Medrano, and I'm lucky enough to be here with Ritchie Coleman, and he is a man with $1 million smile and a heart as big as all outdoors. Yeah, he has been in law enforcement for quite a while, and you may be a little bit scared to find out about scams and frauds that are targeted at senior citizens. It's scary to know that somebody else is out there trying to steal money from you and your family. With Ritchie Coleman, civilian now, after 27 years retired as the community coordinator of the prevention programs, he's returned in a part-time capacity in the same job.
Same job.
Same job. And he has hosted an event, Scams and Frauds, an impact on vulnerable seniors on November 9th. Now, we're going to ask him about the event and the scams and the fraud problems targeted at senior citizens. Thank you for coming here, Ritchie.
It is my pleasure. It's so great to see you again, my friend.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you too. Now, you've had good things and bad things happening in there. How was your childhood, and what brought you up toward the law enforcement positions?
Interesting question, and a good question, because I am in the middle of 10 children. My father was a pastor, and I'm originally from Saginaw, Michigan. And my father is a pastor, ingrained in the 10 of us to give back to our communities. And all 10 of us worked not only in the church, but in our communities. All went to college, all very actively involved, even to this day, for the 9 of us that are remaining, with doing outreach. And as of the 4 sons, I have six sisters, 5 remaining. The 4 sons, I am the only one that's not pastoring. I have 3 brothers and an identical twin brother that are now pastoring, and I wish them well, and I help as I can. But we've been very involved in not only the churches in the Saginaw area and the Kalamazoo area where my twin brother is, but also at the local level. We fellowship right now with Oakwood.
I think you've probably done as much or more good than most of the pastors that I'm aware of. Now, let's get on to the frauds and scams things. What's the name and title of this thing that you had hosted on November 9th?
It was called the 2018 Scams and Fraud Impact on Vulnerable Seniors. And the intent with this event that we're not only doing as a follow-up behind it is to also encourage all of our partners that are part of this through the Blueprint for Aging and all of these entities from law enforcement and all the services, is to make information available to our seniors, our family members who are taking care of seniors, but also making this information available at any and all possible avenues, online, email, Facebook, whatever social media platform that you on, getting you to the right places, but the safe places.
Because I know with all of those, for everyone that comes up in a brand new technology, there's going to be a scam artist somewhere that will try and make use of it.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, now you're in charge of the prevention program for Pittsfield Township.
Yes, we are.
Tell a little bit about the programs in the community, the outreach.
Well, one of the things that I have been so excited about, not only doing for 27 years, but coming back in a part-time capacity, is to work with all of our public safety watch entities. That's Neighborhood Watch, the Business Watch, our youth outreach through our schools and working with our schools and safety committees, Pittsfield Township, we feed into Ann Arbor, Saline, Milan schools. We also work with a number of local charter schools that are based in the township. All of the safety requirements and measures that we do at the public schools, we're also required to do for our charter schools. We also have Church Watch. And with Church Watch, we treat that just like Neighborhood Watch. We do outreach to the churches to do workshops on church safety. A lot of concern right now with our faith communities and safety, so we're doing workshops. We're going beyond just telling you how to, but we're doing security surveys. We're talking with Brotherhood Mutual, one of the largest insurance carriers for faith communities, that's talking about not just active shooter, but all aspects of safety in the church. Let me ask you a quick question.
Sure.
When's the last time at one of the faith communities you actually did a fire drill or an evacuation drill?
Well, it's been a while since I've been in there, but in any church that I've been in, I don't remember it ever happening.
You know, and that's the thing that when I engage church leaders and planners, is to think about not just active shooter, because that's one component, but how do you address all aspects of an emergency? So emergency preparedness is absolutely critical in all phases of the worship environment.
There's usually one exit and everybody will go toward it. And
We're creatures of habit.
Yeah,
and that's the thing
training.
that we all
need
do.
training.
We just go to the door that we came in and not think about alternative ways to get out.
It's just when a lot of times I go to the theater, I start looking for the exit.
Absolutely do.
One way or the other, somehow or another, I want to know where they are.
You absolutely do.
So now you've had, among other things, you've been a power of attorney for your father, who was 95 years old. And what some of the challenges were that he and you had to face?
The first part of that, and this is part of what we talked about at this event and have with a number of senior preparedness workshops and dealing with scams and fraud, my personal experience on behalf of our family. The first part of that is getting Dad to agree that he was at the point that he no longer could take care of his financial means, his health insurance. He couldn't keep up with all of the requirements, particularly with Medicare, the supplemental plans, the insurances, all of the medical care issues that we didn't want to fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
And Dad was really, I can do this. And at 95, after he fell and broke his hip, that's when we were able to pick up that something was going on.
Most people, when they get up
Something
into
was
that
going
age
on.
group, they believe
Yes.
everything is still good, everything is still fine. I can do this, and sometimes they don't realize that they
Right.
can't.
And after we went through we were in the state of Pennsylvania, so we contacted Elder Law of Pennsylvania to find an attorney that was versed in working with seniors and the issues that we knew we embrace.
I think there's some good ones around Detroit
And
too.
they're nationwide. We have a great group, and our representative that's at our meeting is going to share with us and has shared a number of great resources that's offered. So if you go to elderlaw.com, you'll pull up the Michigan resources. That's what we did in Philadelphia. We met with the attorney. We went through the whole process to make sure Dad was cognizant and was able to answer the questions prior to the completion of the power of attorney concept. And with that, once we went through that and the documents were signed and we had a notary as well as a witness, that power of attorney document went through the process for implementation. And after we signed, it was 4 years of all of the work with providing care for Dad through in-home care, applying for VA benefits, making sure that all of the health insurance, in addition to the supplemental for Medicare and services were provided, all aspects of home ownership, the deed that we needed to make sure that was completed, because we promised Dad we would keep him at home. That was our promise. And the two daughters,
And you
my
have to
wife and my
keep it.
sister-in-law, we fulfilled that promise. And with that, we applied for a reverse mortgage. I did a lot of research, not only in my job and what I do, but understanding there are a lot of pros and cons with reverse mortgages. And we have to go through not only the HUD required training and evaluation, and you need to understand, and they walk you through a whole process of paperwork in addition to asking you questions
I wish
after
the
you
heck I
read the
had had
document.
that kind of opportunity before my dad passed.
Yes,
I
to
wish
understand before you get a reverse mortgage, it's a legal document that needs to be enforced, that takes care of the homes, gives you the authority to do those things that are required for home repairs as well as selling the home.
Now you had the panel discussion with this group.
Right. Now with this process that we talked about, it's inclusive of what we've done at this workshop and this community forum is to not only look at what elder law is, but the role of the power of attorney, all of the aspects of in-home care, and the ombudsman for nursing home. This program
Handles both sides.
right, and they do a tremendous job with doing clarification for family members and loved ones who need to understand, here is what's going on while you're in a nursing home. These are your rights. These are the things that not only you can ask, but also make sure that it's within the contract and things that you need to take care of. Those are the kinds of things that we discuss. And one of the things that's important about a presentation like this is to hear from those who provide the service.
Those who know what's going on and
Correct.
how to offset.
And one of the most important aspects of that with our Washington County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, as well as Adult Protective Services. The Adult Protective Services was redefined with some changes that occurred within the state departments about 5 years ago. So the intent with this reorganization was to make Adult Protective Services more proactive, to be involved with family members in crisis situations.
So that the family members get busy doing.
Correct. And if there is a concern that they need help, Adult Protective Services could be there to do that. And this explanation through our Catholic Social Services and all of the entities, because our law enforcement agencies are called quite often when we've got family disputes, things that are concerning for family members taking care of a loved one.
And sometimes the scammer may even be a family member.
That's correct. That's correct. And a lot of those times we have to help unbundle the concerns to see who not only has legal authority, and in some cases we can't do anything about from a law enforcement perspective when family members may complain about someone who's in charge. That's why we encourage, get legal counsel, work with a family attorney, because all of those things, if they're not done correctly, will still wind up in probate court. And you want to make sure that not only do you fulfill your loved one's wishes and desires, but you're also legally protected. So in all of our presentations and everything that do, we clearly make sure we define we're not giving you legal counsel. We're giving you avenues to find where these resources are.
How about hitting us with one real good thing that vulnerable seniors could watch for, the kind of thing that something as they plan for their future? Hit us with one really good thing.
Here's one of the most important ones right now. I have been working very closely with Social Security and Medicare. And at Medicare.gov, there are tremendous amounts of resources available for every senior who currently gets Medicare. They have new cards that are being issued. Medicare will not call you.
Right.
The scammers have been calling seniors and asking, let me help you sign up for your Social Security online account. Medicare's not going to call you to do that. One of the examples that when I first began to inquire, working with the Medicare representatives and the information I was receiving, because working in this area and doing a lot of presentations, I not only wanted to know, but I needed to know how to encourage family members and loved ones. These guys who are perpetrating these scams are saying, I need your Social Security number
Bingo.
and your PIN number in order to help you create this account. Social Security is not going to call you to do that.
Nope.
You're going to get everything from Social Security by mail. They already have your address. They already have this information. One of the victims, when these guys got her information, had $11,000 sent to a different address in a green dot card, in a card that could be used for immediate cash disbursement.
I know of a situation that already happened.
You know, and so that's the thing that is so critically important, and this is the hot button issue right now, because they issuing these new cards by states. They started in June. Michigan was second in July, and they're still sending these cards out. So please watch your mail. Make sure that you know that if you are a Medicare recipient, they're moving these cards to your address. So you need to make sure that you are watching your mail and making sure that those cards that still had Social Security numbers on them are no longer valid. And you want to shred it, you want to get rid of it, but don't just throw it out. Shred it, make sure that you destroy it, cut it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now, is there anything else in particular that you'd like to share with us?
I do. And one of the things that we've discovered that's really been important is to understand the Federal Trade Commission. The FTC publishes a report. This is the 10th year, I believe, that when they first started. I've been tracking them every year. They provide a report called the Sentinel. That is a state-by-state breakdown of the top scams and fraud for both identity theft and fraud. 2017.
And those are two different things.
They're right. They're two different categories. Identity theft is when someone gets your personal information and they recreate you in order to open up accounts and information to use for financial purposes.
And then they steal your money.
As well as your identity. The one that I had happen to me is right after my wife and I, we did a lease for a new vehicle. And the information that I used from that, within 3 weeks, someone had attempted to open up a unemployment claim with the state of Michigan. I received a notice. My employer received a notice. We've denied the claims, but I went back and discovered it was at the point of where this occurred. And I raised a lot of noise, and I told the personnel working with GM Financing, I'm going to talk about this because of what I do.
Yeah.
Being a victim and knowing that that's the only place that that information was housed and put up, that there's a problem here. And you need to check this out. So there was a lot of internal investigation, a lot of things that happened. So no matter how secure it might be, you still want to make sure that you follow up with all of your credit card statements. Check them thoroughly to make sure that there's no $1 or $2 usage of your credit card. Make sure that everything that you clearly have expenditures for are listed on that statement. And if something's not there, you have 30 days to dispute it. If most of the banks now, you can request to have notification of any charges or anything that's not in the norm of your expenditures. They have algorithms, so they know what your spending patterns are. Mm-hmm. If you're here in Ann Arbor and you've got an expense occurring in New York or Chicago, somewhere else, there's a problem.
That's a problem.
There's a problem.
And if you're going to travel, let your credit card companies know that you're traveling and where you're going to be.
Now, for me, because I'm invested in this prevention mode for this many years, I started about 10 years ago. I only travel with a loaded gift card. I don't use my credit cards anymore.
I hadn't thought about that.
And that credit card that I will use, that gift card, I make it I control it with a PIN number, and I use that for all of my expenditures. Mm-hmm. So that if something happens, and a prime example, when Home Depot about 4 or 5 years ago had a massive data breach, I was actually in Philadelphia buying stuff for the house for Dad and taking care of the home. That's the card that I used. I got the notice, but I knew that the card had already been completely expired. I had no trouble at all with having any of my accounts being accessed or breached.
Good.
So these are the things the little things that we need to do to make sure that as we travel, these card readers now, another part of this, when you're traveling, is make sure that you get these sleeves. You can get these RFID protective sleeves to protect your credit cards, your driver's license. On the back of your driver's license, that thin strip has a lot of information. These guys walk around with these little card readers that just the size of my hand.
Put it up close to your back pocket.
And they can walk around and just any signal that they can pick up, that reader, all your information will go there. So if you've got any of the protective sleeves or a wallet, I've got ID Strong wallet that has a completely protective system. That's one of many that are out there. Mm-hmm. But you want to be able to protect your personal information as you travel to and from.
And I know that there are a lot of places that ask you for your Social Security number just because they ask for it doesn't mean you have to
That's
give it to
exactly
them.
right. I don't give my Social Security number out at all.
No,
You know,
I try to conceal it, but sometimes medically they always want it, and
right.
but
And
when you get
if
to a
it's
store,
something to
sometimes
do
it's another
with
story.
benefits and things that I will ask them, you pull up what you have already, and I will verify it.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
You know, and I don't have to say it out loud or, you know, get it. And I don't ever carry my card on me anyway. But I know what that number is, and we all do. That's etched in infamy for us because that is who we are. But you want to make sure that you check any statements or any of these cold calls. Now, right now, one of the things that we're seeing the most of are what's called spoof phone calls, where you look at caller
what are they?
ID. You look at your caller ID and you see 734. And what these
Or 248, depending on your
right,
location.
and what they're doing now is that they've got these automated dialers, so that that number is looking like it's coming from a local number, but it's coming from a different number. But you look at it and it
It could
says
even come from the Caribbean.
right, and it could come from anywhere. That's what they can do with this spoofing technology, to make that call look like it's a local call. And that's when you want to say, as soon as you pick it up, don't ever say yes when someone says, Joe, can you hear me?
Good enough.
You don't ever want to say yes. What these guys are doing now, they're recording your voice to say yes. And then they capture that. They can make purchases and all these different things and send it to you. And as soon as you dispute it, they pull it up. What you told us, yes, you wanted to make the order. That's how they're capturing
That's how they get
their
it.
information, is they're asking you questions to lead into it. Now, there's another one called the grandparents scam, where they will call you and say, Joe, your son is in trouble and he needs money right away.
I've seen that on emails.
And and the first thing you say, oh, you mean Johnny? Yes, you just given them a name. So then they play off what the information you just gave them. And then they begin to work. You need to go and get a Green Dot card or go to Home Depot or Lowe's, take cash, put it on a card, call me with the 16-digit PIN number, but don't hang up, because if the moment you hang up, they're gonna be in jail longer. So we've had people literally run to the bank, go to Home Depot or Target, load the green card, never hanging the phone up, because they're giving you instructions and threatening you. If you hang up, the police are coming. This is the same with the IRS scam.
Oh, yeah.
Don't ever believe someone telling you that if you don't do what I'm telling you to do, the police are going to come and arrest you. That's just not going to happen.
If you haven't done anything,
Just not going to happen.
chances are pretty good that if you're not guilty of anything, you don't have much to be worried about.
Right, and these guys scare so many seniors. Just this week alone, as I get the calls from our seniors and talking with them, and multiple calls from the IRS, from the computers, from Microsoft, you name it, whatever it is that's out there, that's what they're trying to do with hooking you in to giving information about yourself or your financial information.
Now, for this event that you had on November 9th, there's probably a lot of people that couldn't make it. They have no opportunity. Have you got other workshops or other kind of things that you can set up for them?
We are going to provide not only a copy of this event that was videotaped, but the PowerPoints that I have, in addition to our AARP representative, will be made available. And if someone wants to email me at colemanr@pittsfield-mi.gov,
And Pittsfield has two T's.
Right, I will send the PowerPoint, and we will send this information at all of our community events. We're attending homeowners association meetings. I have an event we're calling Meet Me at the Pop-Up, and it's a new concept with our crime prevention programs.
Meet me at the pop-up?
Pop-up. It's a pop-up tent that I'm going in the neighborhood.
Oh, I was thinking
We're going to
pop-up
set
ads
up
on the
right in the
screen.
neighborhood in someone's yard, invite all the residents via email, Facebook. We just signed up, and we're going to be participating in Nextdoor, or Notify Me through the township. So we're going to reach out to all of our residents by sections and by areas of the township so that we can come to you. And this is something that's going to be ongoing. And at each one of these events, we're going to have information from the FTC, from all of the various entities that we've explored and shared information at this event. we will have handouts and information for those who could not make it. We're going to provide it for you.
So you're really covering all bases, and you're really doing an excellent job on the whole thing.
Now, one more thing, Joe, if I can provide.
Oh, you can do
Because
whatever you want.
This has been a big issue with victims of identity theft. How do I protect myself when I am a victim? And the most important part about filing the police report, once you get the information and clearly understand that you've been a victim of some type of financial fraud, you need a police report. You can do that at your local police department. Take as much information as you have. Statements, emails, letters that have come in saying that you purchased something that you know that you didn't. You've got confirmation from your credit card or your financial institution. Take that to the local police department so that you can get a police report number. When you file with the 3 credit bureaus, you need the police report number in order to get that document and that process started. The financial institutions will tell you, if you didn't file a police report, how do I know that these charges aren't yours? You've got 30 days.
And that's it. But
30
get
days.
that police report regardless.
You need to get it, and you need to get that process. Now, the 3 credit bureaus all work in concert. Now, in September of this year, the FTC has a new process for credit freezes. If you've been a victim of identity theft and you want to freeze your credit so no one else can get access to either opening up new accounts, or in one case that we had, these guys actually went into a person's credit history to open up closed accounts.
Scammers are getting
It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that. But when you freeze your credit, no one can get access to it. You could lift it if you need to. And there was a fee that was associated with that. Now, with this new ruling, all 50 contiguous states, you no longer have to pay a fee to freeze your credit.
But Hawaii and Alaska might be a little bit different. You said contiguous states, and I assume you mean the original 48.
But this is something that's consistent with all of the credit bureaus. So this report that came out, and we've got information we've had at the meeting, and I also have at upcoming events, brochures and flyers from the FTC, from the Consumer Affairs Department on a lot of the things that we're discussing today, so that you can get access to the information. Because these laws are being updated, these are critical for us to have, because it's not a matter of if for any of us, it's when.
It's a matter of sooner or later
we're
it's
going to be a victim
happen.
of identity theft or fraud. And this is what we've done with all of our prevention programs, making it personal. You know, so when we meet with our community groups and we do the community outreach, once we give statistics on crime trends and other things that's going on in the immediate communities, we also provide a plethora of material that residents can get access to and ask any questions that might be needed.
Richie, it has been a pleasure to hear all the things that you had to say.
Yes, sir.
Everything that has, and it's been so good to see you again.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for being here in CTN
Joe, it's
and
great to see
Senior
you.
Moments, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining us on Senior Moments. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Joe Madrano, and I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving.